Stirewalt. I guess the silver lining here is, for the president, that these numbers, the polling was done before passing the bill and after the Virginia elections. Does that change anything?
Yeah, for sure. And remember, you always have to think about which people are upset. So you start out and 47% of the people are not going to like Joe Biden no matter what. They voted for Donald Trump. They're not going to like Joe Biden. That's where they're going to be. Then you talk about what is the difference between Biden when he was riding high in the early summer, 53, 54%. Where did all that go? And the answer is pretty obvious, and we saw it reflected in the results in Virginia, which are that for the Democratic rank and file, the people who are lightly attached, they're not highly activated partisans, they're not ideological. For these folks, things have been pretty rough, right? We're talking here about a lot of working class voters, people who we've been through the resurgence of the pandemic. Gasoline prices are through the roof. All of the things that would afflict a person and cause them to want change are afflicting them. Now Biden has to hope that basically this is the snap in the line, that they took it out to and you can include the Afghanistan debacle in this, that you go through all of this very rough sledding for Biden, gets through this stuff, and then we get the comeback kid narrative, and then things start to work. And the even better news for Biden may be that the popular bipartisan infrastructure bill passed, but the other bill, which is much more controversial and much less popular, may now fail because the squad, in a fit of pique, voted against it and thereby let all the moderates off the hook. So they can now go tell them to go pound sand and then go home and run.
All right, and all of this is happening before Thanksgiving. We look more into the poll numbers. 16% of those who voted for him say he's doing a worse job than it's expected. Okay, that's not really that significant of a number. 44% of independents say he's done a worse job than expected. 64% don't want him to run again, so that's roughly 15% more than, as you point out, voted for him. One of the wisest political minds that I know and communication minds I know said that the one thing that a White House communications director must control is the conversation at Thanksgiving dinner in a positive way. What has to change between now and Thanksgiving for that to happen?
Well, as an even greater communications guru that I know of said, control is an illusion.
Okay, so so that communications friend was a very honest one as well.
No. I'm just saying, every White House likes to think that they can shape the narrative and control this and control that. If people are paying $3.80 for a gallon of gas, and you still have to wear a mask to go places and all of that stuff, if that's going on, people will be unhappy. Conversely, and we saw this with the jobs report, look, probably the two biggest pieces of news last week were not the Virginia election and the infrastructure bill, though the infrastructure bill is very important. But it's probably that big jobs report that showed the economy coming back strong in July, number one. And number two, the development of antiviral drugs that will effectively end the pandemic. With the high vaccination rates that we have, and you combine it with that spells the end of the pandemic. And things could really turn the corner in the coming months. And if that's the case, then Biden is going to say, we planned it all along. This is exactly how we meant to do it.
Well, and you talk about Thanksgiving, and we're already hearing this from the White House. Hey, last Thanksgiving, everybody was apart. This Thanksgiving, everybody's together. So be happy that you're all together and eating turkey. That helps. You brought up the Virginia elections, which has laid bare this divide in the Democratic Party, old world Democratic Party, new world. First, James Carville, the famed Clinton strategist, Raging Cajun, explaining the loss, and then the new world of the Democratic Party explaining what James Carville doesn't understand. Take a listen to both.
Wrong. It's just stupid wokeness. All right, don't just look at Virginia and New Jersey. Look at Long Island. Look at Buffalo. Look at Minneapolis. Even look at Seattle, Washington. I mean, this defund the police lunacy to take Abraham Lincoln's name off of schools. I mean, that people see that, and it's just really have a suppressive effect all across the country. The Democrats, some of these people need to go to a woke detox center or something.
I need Carville to shut the F up. Because I'm sick of these white men whining and complaining about wokeness when you like it when black folks and Latinos and young white voters and agents are voting for candidates. How about this, James Carville? How about you go learn how to cut some Lincoln Project type ads with the Democratic Party? How about you go raise money to run those ads on OAN and Fox News and Newsmax and telling those broke white folks in those various states how the infrastructure bill is going to benefit them?
Oh boy. This reminds me of when you and I used to talk vis-a-vis the Freedom Caucus versus the moderate Republican caucus circa 2010 or 2014.
Well, and also Roland Martin tried to save it at the end, talking about that the Democrats should emulate the Lincoln Project, which, as close as I can tell, has been the greatest suckhole for money. It has been the greatest waste of money since the Spruce Goose. So that tells you how tight his political acumen is. The reality, and we saw it with the vote of the squad against this very popular infrastructure bill, his message, their message, is one of electoral defeat. Their message is one for Democrats that says we will deny people what they want. And by the way, tragically, what they want too. That's legislation that they would have supported, but they voted against it to punish their fellow Democrats for not voting on things in the order that they wanted to. That is lunacy in politics, because politics is the art of the possible, not the art of throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, it's additive, not subtractive. Well, you point out very well also that if the Lincoln Project is your moral North Star, you got your own problems. Chris, good to see you. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. The only thing that appears to be worse than President. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.